So a while back, I reviewed the anime Komi Can't Communicate, a wildly popular series that I said was, at least for me, a little subpar and didn't quite work out. And I actually got a fair amount of positive feedback on that review, which is always nice to see. But when this show came up in my day to day life, I often would get like mad looks, followed by something to the effect of, "How dare you! It's a slice of life comedy! What were you expecting?" I was expecting this. Today's show we will be talking about today. Aharen wa Hakarenai. Don't ask me what any of that shit means. But this was, just like Komi Can't Communicate, a slice of life high school rom-com about two kids, one of whom has social issues and can't really communicate and make friends with others, and another one who has similar problems but is in enough of a better boat to try and help guide the other one. Yeah, also it's the girl with the main problem and the boy has spiky, long pointing hair. Yes, it's weird. Anyhow, so yeah, this show is more along the lines of what I'm looking for in these kinds of comedies. I'm finding more and more as I grow older and become an old man, I much prefer things to be a bit slower, for just the little moments of life to be little moments, and for a lot of time just dedicated to characters bonding and growing together. I don't need a million gags a minute. I don't need a million unlikable, unfunny characters wasting time. All I need is a few kids who feel grounded in some resemblance of a reality, who I can root for and watch them go through their issues. Also, before I go any further, I want to make it clear, Komi Can't Communicate Season 2 actually fixes a lot of my problems with Season 1 and is a lot more funny and well written. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't review it yet. I'm a little behind. But when I do, don't worry. We'll give that show its due. Don't worry. Don't get on my back. Today we will simply be talking about this show and what I like about it. And first up, let's start off with the premise. Wait, I did that already. Let's talk about the characters then. So, the main character and mostly the point of view character of this show is our boy, Rido. Rido's thing is that it's his first day of high school, and he's ready to finally make some friends. He was a loner who didn't really have anyone to talk to in middle school, so it's time to start changing that and reinventing himself. Why didn't he have friends, you may be asking yourself? What, is it going to be he's got some sad, tragic backstory, or some dumb, nonsensical hijinks from his past made him, like, goofy or not very likable to other people? No. It is a very realistic situation. Rido, because he's a little bit bigger than a lot of other kids, and his kind of natural expression makes him look a little more tougher than a lot of the other kids when he's really not, put him in this situation where he couldn't really connect or adapt to other people. Throughout the show, he spends a lot of time in his own head, sometimes having wild fantasies about other people and what situations will lead to, and you can kind of see how that maybe kind of kept him isolated and why it was tough for him to make friends and be around other people. The show does a really great job of making this guy feel grounded and making you just want to root for him for just that simple reason of he's just trying to make some friends. And I kind of miss a character just having a simple motivation from that and not needing some overly convoluted past that's never really built on anyways. But yeah, so he starts high school, and the first person he meets is our marketable, non-talking waifu. Again, very weird how similar this is to Komi Can't Communicate premise-wise. Reina Aharen, a character who already has a Nendroid up for pre-order because the Japanese know what kinds of people anime fans are. But yeah, so Reina's shtick, or Aharen, because she's mostly just called by her last name, so we'll just call that her here. Aharen's thing is, and warning if you're the type of person who gets turned off when these phrases are thrown around very willy-nilly, I'm gonna try and be very respectful towards this subject. Aharen is very clearly meant to be on the autistic spectrum. She's high functioning, she can get through a lot of normal life, but I think the show makes it very clear that this is a girl who just has one or two little things that are kind of holding her back in life. Aharen has a lot of issues communicating. She has a lot of issues reading social cues. She's not sure how to get close to people, which is a big aspect in the show. And it's just like with Rido, kind of kept her from being able to make a lot of friends and adapt in life and to grow. And the show is very respectful with this. There are, of course, a few jokes that come from just sort of the awkwardness that is a person like this, but for the most part, I never felt like I'm supposed to laugh at her. I always feel like I'm supposed to be on her side and understand where she's coming from, and the show does a very good job of always keeping her feeling just like someone who you can understand and respect, even when she's put in scenarios that a lot of other shows would just completely screw up on. But yes, that's just kind of your premise. These two meet, and because they have similar issues, they're able to sort of like connect and become friends. And the show's mostly about the two of them. There's not a million characters cramming for screen time all the time. There's kind of just a handful. There's two classmate friends who are just kids in the class. That's it. They don't need to be anything complicated. They're there when they need to be, and they complement the scene when necessary. There's like a teacher whose shtick is she also starts like going wild with her imagination about Reina and Aharen and has like catastrophic nosebleeds that almost kill her. That's kind of funny. And the other character who's more sort of important to where the show goes is another girl who also has issues with making friends and socializing and doing all this, and you get to see how that kind of affects her and how she wants to be about Reina but is afraid of Rido, and it's actually really wholesome and fun. And that's kind of one of the things I really like about this show. It's just so fucking wholesome. Look at Aharen. Look at her adorableness. Don't lewd her. Don't do what you do best, internet. The show is very aware of its very cute art style, and I feel like it takes advantage of it a lot. Rido's fantasies always have these very fun images associated with them, and the show's very good about not lingering on any jokes. It doesn't stay on any subject for too long. Everything kind of moves at this very, like, nice, fluid pace. I always felt like it understood where it wanted to take somebody, and it always felt fulfilled by the time you get to the end of a bit. Rather, it's two kind of obnoxious elementary schools who bug our main characters a lot. Rather, it's Rido's younger sister who can be a little bratty. Rather, it's Aharen's siblings who kind of are weird and fun in their own rights. Rather, it's just any scenario they go through. The show just is always has this grounded fluidity to everything. Everyone is likable, and everything always feels like it's just kind of like thought out very effectively. I don't feel like I'm being marketed a ton of characters, although a big bit in the ending of just showing Aharen in cute outfits is a little makes you wonder what this show's intention is. But again, just for the most part, it's just such a nice, sweet, lovely show, and I kind of need that these days. We don't really get that anymore, or a show that's willing to be mature and represent subject matter that can be complicated as more than just kind of like a whatever subject. As for problems with the show, because I think I've made it clear that's just sort of all the show is, every episode is just structured around 2 or 3 little adventures that just kind of go the way they do and then end. There's no real overarching story. There's a lot towards the end that I think goes in some interesting directions. Aharen's friend has a really interesting like growth at the end of the show, and I like what they do with Rido and Aharen's relationship. It feels very realistic for these two kinds of people. They don't always understand how they're going to handle things socially or how to really even understand other people or even themselves, and I think the show did a really good job of bringing it all together by the end of it. That's my little spoiler for the ending. Yes, it did a good job with the ending. But as far as problems with the show go, I mean, look, like with any comedy like this, not every joke's gonna hit. Most of them do, but I'd be lying if I said the over-reliance on just showing Aharen in a goofy situation do kind of get old after a while. Apart from that, my only other real problem is I would have liked for, and I don't know if this is really a problem, I would have liked for more episodes from Aharen's perspective. I always like it when a story can give you an idea of what someone like that is going through. Most of the show is from Rido's perspective. There's a couple bits, especially towards the end, told from Aharen's perspective. But for the most part, it is definitely Rido's show. And I would have liked more scenes of just kind of like, what is Aharen's life like through her eyes? Or what does a girl like that, how does she view the world? Or how does she view other people? Again, we do get to that by the end, but I felt like it could have been and should have been a bit more of the focus. But yeah, overall, this is a very cute, adorable, lovable series with very cute, fun, lovable characters and a very lovable animation and art style that I'd like to see more of. I want to see more anime that aren't afraid to be quiet. So many shows now just feel like they have to fill every scene with noise and characters and gags. And I like that a lot of times. But sometimes I just like something that's simple. And that's what this show really excelled in, and I thought it was the better for it. A lot of people seem to like this, but people aren't talking about this as much as like Spy Family or Kaguya-sama or a lot of the other shows this season, which is a shame, and I hope it does get the attention it deserves. But tell me what you thought about this show in the comments section below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me, because hopefully I want to get to a lot of anime reviews in the next few weeks.